Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be with you. I have not been live for a bit, but I have been working so hard doing our Instagram Scan My Brain series, but I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, whose wonderful book, Stroke of Insight, was a New York Times bestseller for 63 weeks. Let's see if I can. And so she is going to join us. And I just have to find her request. Let's see. So hopefully she will request soon. But thank you so much for being with us. We are going to talk about brains and brain health and whole brain living, which I think will be amazing. So let's see. If you requested, yeah. Let's see. Well, until I see her, I want to talk. I was did a lecture today on friendship, and Jill is going to be a new friend of mine. But do you think friendship is at all related to brain function? It would be interesting to see what you think. And also tell me where you are from so I can see where people are joining us. From Georgia, thank you. Florida. We have a new clinic coming in Florida. Why don't I do more lives? I should, because I really enjoy doing them. We have a podcast, someone asked, called Brain Warrior's Way. We sort of took the summer off, but we will be back. We have 880 episodes, so let's see, Joplin, Missouri, San Antonio, Texas, Manitoba, Algeria, London, thank you so much. I was just thinking of London today, how I missed it. Our clinic in Florida is going to be at Hollywood, Florida, very close to the Hollywood Fort Lauderdale airport. New Jersey, North Dakota, my goodness, Serbia. Thank you all. Can you pin the podcast? So I'll try to do that when we're done. Australia, Lebanon. I've been to Lebanon. My heritage is Lebanese, and I've been to Turkey. Thank you. Thank you all. All right. So let's try this. I think Jill may have joined. I clicked yes, but nothing happening. So let me try this again. So Jill, if you're on, ping me one more time. Yemen and Vegas.
both places with a lot of sand. And Lyme disease is something people wanted us to talk about. Let's see if I can get this to work. Unable to join. Technical difficulties. So, during the pandemic, how have you dealt with frustration? Let's see. And we talk about anxiety, memory issues, autism. You know, these are all things we talk about. Psychedelic medicine, Jesse Payne's book, Change Your Brain, Change Up. Let's see if this is it. Understand what people, you know. Let's see if this is Jill.
Hello.
Hello, is
I'm
this
not,
Jill?
no, I'm not Jill, but I did have
Well,
a question for you if you have time.
well, if you ask it quickly, and then I'll see if I can get
Okay.
Jill on.
Okay, perfect. So my dad had a severe stroke 2 years ago. He has aphasia, apraxia. He's been doing relatively well until the last 6 months. Severe decline, and PET scans show nothing. Everything looks great. The only thing he has had is the vaccine. That's the only difference. Besides being locked up at home, with my mom. Do you have any thoughts on the vaccine affecting stroke patients and their brain?
You know, some people have told me, so I know a lot of people who've had the vaccine, and people have no symptoms, or, a day or two, they feel awful and then they feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been some of my patients that have had negative reactions to it. And I suspect if their brains are vulnerable, then they're more likely
Okay.
to have a negative response. So
Okay.
I hope that helps. But I would read
Sure.
my book, Memory Rescue,
Okay.
and make sure, because even if someone's had a stroke, and Jill and I will talk about this when I can find her, that there's so many things to do if you put the brain in a healing environment.
Yes, and he was doing really well before COVID, going to therapies, and then everything gets kind of locked down. But so I figured maybe that also was having some effect on him, just not having to force himself as well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I'm back. Now let's see if I can find Jill. I think she's actually tried, but for some reason we are not able to connect. And so I will keep looking. Someone is asking, are we located in Los Angeles? We are. We have a clinic in Encino, just north of Los Angeles, or in Costa Mesa, south of Los Angeles. All right, so I'm going to go through some of the questions. And then if I see Jill pop up, I will. And Jill, I'm going to go to the bottom. So send me another note if you can get back on. So SPAC, the study we do is a study that looks at blood flow and activity. And it was first actually developed for people who had strokes. Isn't that interesting? And it's a blood flow study. And when you have a stroke, a blood vessel breaks. And so, blood drains out and then damages tissue because it can't get a new supply of blood, or a blood clot goes and chokes off and the blood supply, and then that part of the brain dies. but there is tissue around it that you can invigorate and help with recovery. I often say we don't have the Lazarus treatment to bring the dead back to life, but we often have treatments to get struggling tissue better, healthier. And I'm a big fan of hyperbaric oxygen treatment because I've seen it help in stroke patients. I've seen it increase blood flow. I've seen it increase blood flow to the brain, even after the brain has been damaged. Someone asked about the connection between sleep apnea and throat cancer. I have not seen that. The impact of ADHD medication on the brain long term. If it's the right thing for you, it can be incredibly helpful, because I've seen the impact of untreated ADD be really bad on the brain because of the chronic stress. If it's not the right medicine for you, it won't be good for your brain. In fact, could be bad for your brain. So someone said my book really helped them. Thank you for saying that. Does light therapy help? Yes, blue or white light in the morning has been found. I'm a big fan of bright light therapy. Supports your mood, your energy, your focus, and sleep. That can be so helpful. Oh, I'm bummed I don't have Jill, but maybe we'll have to find another time. Maybe, Jill, send me one more request with who you are. So a number of questions about Lyme disease. And I'm a psychiatrist by training. Why do I care about Lyme disease? Because I began to see it really negatively impact brain function. And I would see brains that looked inflamed, brains that look older than the person was, and they weren't a drug addict or a drinker. And it was horrifying to me. And then when we tested them, some patients, even psychotic patients, when we treated their Lyme, their brain was healthier, they got better. And one of my stories that I just love, and I love stories, was a 16-year-old girl who became psychotic after being surrounded by 6 deer on a camping trip. And turned out she got bitten by a deer tick. And when we treated her Lyme, her memory, her behavior, and the psychosis were dramatically better. Emotional abuse does affect the brain. I published a big study on the difference between PTSD, emotional trauma, and TBI, or physical trauma. Emotional trauma tends to activate the brain, where physical trauma tends to calm it down. And it's both of them can be better, which is just what we do at Amen Clinics, sort of why I live, to make brains better. Somebody's asking, Lloyd Brett, my position on psychotropic medications, over-the-counter supplements, do you really have a positive effect? or are they not worth it? No, I own a supplement company, BrainMD. I'm a huge fan of natural supplements. I have before and after scans. I did my big NFL study. It was supplements that made the most difference. My position on psychotropic medication is they can be really helpful when prescribed properly, but that should never be the first and only thing you do. So I always think to myself, first, do no harm, use the least toxic, most effective treatment. And I tend to start with natural things, but before I go to medication, unless I think it's absolutely necessary. Sometimes antipsychotics do help. With OCD, it's generally not the first thing I think about. Some questions about the vaccination. My goodness, when I did a live on the vaccination, I got so much hate. So you can find it. I posted on it. Lithium is good for bipolar disorder, but you have to make sure you monitor it closely because it can have side effects. 5-HTP is helpful for worriers. Thank you so much for all the positive comments, and for the ones that are not so, I understand. Let me think. What else should I talk about? What book can help in developing the brain? So many of my books, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, The End of Mental Illness. I have a new book coming out next year called You Happier, The 7 Neuroscience Secrets of Feeling Good. How long to use light in the morning? Like maybe a half an hour is good. How do I feel about CBD? I'm not a huge fan. I wish there was more research on it, and people go, oh, but it's natural. And I'm like, yeah, your brain has endorphin receptors, and that didn't go very well. A number of questions about psychedelics. It's not the first thing I think about. And in my experience, I haven't seen it fix anything. Some people, especially people who've been traumatized, have found it to be helpful. People are asking how much a scan costs. It depends. I saw some people say it was $3,000. It's not quite accurate. Our whole evaluation, which includes 2 scans, history, and the first 6 months of treatment, is about $4,500. I think a scan by itself is about $1,700. So we have a new office coming in Hollywood, Florida. So for that question, I answered psilocybin, which is the jury's still out. Mold toxicity is important. Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking to see if I had a text from Jill. All right, what are we going to talk about? Since we're here, I want to talk about not believing every stupid thing you think. And you want to, and this is so important. Just because you have a thought has nothing to do with whether or not it's true. And we need to discipline our minds just like we discipline our bodies. And it takes time to do that. So I wake up every day and say to myself, today is going to be a great day, and go to bed every night with what went well today. Somebody said they found a name for their brain. I'd love for you to post that. And yes, Dr. Mendenhall is awesome at our clinics. I love her so much. So, okay, sorry. Jill is trying to get on, so I just don't. Let's see if this is it. So she's trying to get on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this and start it again. So anybody